Hello and welcome back to our weekly FPL video series where we take a look at our upcoming game week and give our initial thoughts on our team. I have a big decision to make on whether I will play the wildcard or not depending on team news later this week. Let us first see how the team is shaping up. Let's start off with the goalkeepers, and first up we have Ederson of Manchester City. Last game week, the Brazilian keeper conceded 2 goals to Man United, with the first one being a quite controversial and many believe it should not have stood. Let me know in the comments what your views are on Bruno's goal. This game week, Ederson and Man City are up against Wolverhampton Wanderers at home. Despite having scored 4 goals since the restart, Wolves sit on second worst in the league for expected goals since then. The odds are in City's favour with a 57% chance of a clean sheet for this one. It's worth noting that the team will be rotated quite a bit from Thursday's game against Spurs, but the only player we can be sure of starting is Ederson in goal. He's a solid pick for a FPL team this game week. Moving on to the defenders, and first up we have Trippier of Newcastle United. After last game week, Trippier is now the second player in the league for points, only behind Haaland by 13. This game week, he and Newcastle United are up against Crystal Palace away from home. Newcastle are the only side since the restart not to have conceded a goal, and they are facing Palace, who are the third worst attack in the league in terms of expected goals. This game seems to be leaning towards an easy clean sheet for Newcastle, and in fact this is supported by the fixture ticker at Fantasy Football Hub, who have given Newcastle a 34% clean sheet odds for this one. The Newcastle defense is a must-have for this game week. The first tough decision this game week with the defender slot is whether to start Ben White or Luke Shaw. Shaw just edges it for me, with United looking a lot better in attack and defense since the restart, not to mention Shaw's attacking threat compared to White's. The fixture ticker does favour Arsenal more than United for a clean sheet for this one, but it seems like a good time to go against it. And for all of you saying United had easier fixtures than Arsenal since the restart, they held Man City, who's arguably the best attacking team in the league, to just 0.65 XG with just 1 shot on target. If you are stuck between these two this game week, I do think you could go for either one, but Shaw for me just edges it. Lastly, in defense we have Luka Dean of Villa. He has been a bit of a troll in FPL in recent times, getting taken off last game week within 10 minutes after what looked like a bad injury to his shoulder. It's uncertain if he will be fit to play this game week, and because of that, I won't be keeping him in my team, whether I wildcard or not this game week. It's always important to keep an eye on injuries and team news when making your FPL decisions. Moving on to midfielders, and first up we have ALMIRON of Newcastle. He faces Palace away from home this game week. I did say in my Game Week 17 team selection that he is a must-buy with his price being so low, but it may be time to change that statement. Newcastle have looked good in recent times but haven't been delivering. They have missed 10 big chances since then, which is the most of any team since the World Cup. The chances, however, haven't been falling to the Paraguayan. He has been involved in only 1 big chance since then, which he converted, so it might be time to call it quits with him and look for better options around. Next up in the midfield we have Saka of Arsenal. He faces Man United at home this game week. I'm surprised how he isn't much more highly owned after being probably the best attacking outlet for Arsenal after Odegaard. Not to mention he is more nailed on than any of the other attacking options for Arsenal. United is always a tricky fixture, but Saka has scored in each of his last 2 games against them, so hopefully he can make it a 3rd game in a row with his wonderful form at the moment. He is a great option to consider for your FPL team this game week. Next up in the midfield is Rashford of Man United. He faces Arsenal away from home this game week. His form looks unstoppable right now, and he is essential for any FPL team at the moment. He has scored a goal in each of his last 4 games, racking up a total of 37 points, which is only bettered by March, who has 44 since the restart. Last but not least in the midfield we have De Bruyne of Man City. He faces Wolves at home next, who are statistically his favourite team to face after having racked up 9 goal involvements in his last 7 games against them. 4 of those goals came in 1 game last season, where he scored his first and only hat-trick for Man City up to now. He will be a major factor in whether I pull the trigger for the wildcard, as he might get rested against Wolves since it's only a 3-day turnover after the Tottenham game on Thursday. It's important to keep an eye on team news for this one. Moving on to the forwards, and first up we have Haaland. His game against Man United saw his first 3-game run without returning double digits since he signed for Man City. Hopefully this run doesn't extend for too long, but this does leave the room for other captaincy options as he has been out of form in recent times. It's important to keep an eye on players' form when making FPL decisions, and because of that and rotation risks, captaincy will not be ending up with the Norwegian this game week. Another forward option to consider this game week is KANE. He faces Fulham away from home this game week, and his record against Fulham is very consistent after failing to score in only one of his last 5 games against them. It should be said, however, that he hasn't yet registered a goal against them away from home. Tottenham haven't looked too good in attack since the restart, but he hasn't gone more than 1 game without returning this season. He isn't currently a must-buy in my eyes, but he will soon be with Tottenham's fixture run for Game Week 23. He also does have the captaincy from me for this game week. Last but not least, in the forwards we have Martial of Man United. He faces Arsenal away from home this game week. He has been a disappointing inclusion in my FPL team at the restart, and this seems like the week I do get rid of him. He has had himself involved in 3 big chances but failed to convert 2 of those. This isn't a good sign, especially after United did just sign a new striker in Weghorst. It's important to keep an eye on players' competition for places when making your FPL decisions. On to my transfer plans for this game week, and it all depends on the Man City team news ahead of the Wolves game. If De Bruyne and Haaland are both confirmed to start, I will go without the wildcard and make the move from Digne to Dan Burn. Newcastle, as I said earlier, have been too good in defense, and with the way FPL is going on right now, if you don't own 2 Newcastle defenders and they do go on to keep a clean sheet, you are losing rank places. So I chose the cheapest starting defender for them, who doesn't have too little of an attacking threat either. If either one of De Bruyne or Haaland are rested for this game, I will be playing the wildcard. Stay tuned for my wildcard draft later on this week by subscribing to the channel and turning on the notification bell down below. See you soon for the next video.